Okay, I read a book for school. It's called The Poisonwood Bible. And it's about a man and his wife. He's a Baptist minister, and he takes his family. He has five girls, and he takes them to go live in the Congo. And while they're there, they bring stuff with them that they really don't need, like uh, Sarah Lee or whatever, stuff to make cake. They bring all this stuff, and and also they don't need it, and they end up losing it all. And the story is really suspenseful, and a lot of drama happens in there. So one of the main topics about the story was about ignorance. Their daughters, since they live in Georgia, they had all these like things about Africa, like people like they sleep on trees, and then like as soon as they arrived in Africa, people were like people like wearing no clothes, and they really noticed that. And one of the daughters, named Rachel, she was really ignorant of Africa, which brings me to this discussion of Africa. And I was just like, what I don't like about it when people are always like, oh, like you sleep in trees and you live in huts, and but people really don't realize is that's actually not the truth. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, in my opinion, and from what I've seen from family members going to Africa, there's no way possible a human being can sleep in a tree. They have houses. There are even mansions. And, I mean, there's a few people that live in huts, but that's like deep in the village, and those are the people that don't want to get out of their cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
So they're obviously in a hut, and, there's tribal rituals and stuff like that. But then one of the other things that people find really strange is that not all of us eat dogs.
Yeah.
We don't just have dogs running around and we, catch them with our spears and chop their heads off and, eat them like that. There's people who like dog, but me personally, I don't like dog. I've never tried it.
I just feel like
really don't want to either.
I feel like teachers, they haven't like taught people enough like what we learn in like history. It's like they don't like that's not really what happened. Like even yesterday my friend said something about the president of Liberia doing like taking prisoners of war, and I said that's awkward because the president is a girl, and she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, how are you gonna tell me the president's a girl? She just recently got elected.
The president of Liberia is a woman.
Yeah, so they were saying something about Liberia. I'm like, I didn't believe it was true because the president's not even a man. I feel like people, like kids, they don't know enough, especially like little kids, because basically all their perception of Africa comes from like TV.
Yeah, because they make it look like everybody in Africa is starving and
yeah,
not eating and naked, running around.
Like people basically like stereotype it, and like from TV shows, like shows like on Cartoon Network, and other those shows like that movie with like Russell Brand, and it's called like Get Him to the Greek or something like that.
Yeah.
And he had like an African like singer or like dancer. I'm like, not all like there's people who are like Africans. Like I was born in America, but my parents are from Africa, so people's like when I told everybody I was going to Liberia for summer of 2011, they're like, where are you gonna sleep? I'm like, well, I'm sleeping in a house. There's gonna be food for me to eat. So I don't know. And then the teacher was like, how are you gonna go to? I told my teacher I was going to Liberia, and she's like, how are you gonna go there? There's war going on. You wouldn't be able to stay anywhere.
War is really not still going on, and that's what people fail to realize. That war ended a long time ago. I mean, there's some tribes that are still fighting, but it's not like the whole country is under attack.
Mhm.
And there's not bombing, there's nobody shooting, like it's like really peaceful there.
Yeah.
And that's where nobody realizes, because they're so stuck on one topic and they think it's gonna go on for like 100 more years, but it's not.
Another thing that I noticed was that people, when they say stuff, they're like, when they say, oh, how's like Africa, how's the weather in Africa, but it really makes them sound like the dumb ones, because that's like saying how's the weather in America.
Yeah.
Because Africa's a continent, America's a continent. But the lack of knowledge really comes from not really knowing anything. People think like the weird cultural practices, but like everyone has different cultural practices. Like something that's considered normal to you may be normal to them. So I don't know. What did you think about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What do you think about like the cultural practices of Africa? Do you think like they're weird?
I don't think they're weird. I mean, maybe there's like some things that people find differently, but that's, what's different to them may be weird to somebody else. So, and what's normal to them may be normal, like out of the norm to somebody else. So let's say that every night for dinner time, an African family, they always say grace, while American people, they don't always have to say grace. And so if you're going to somebody's home and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to say grace for my food, and they're looking at you like, why are you saying grace for your food?
Yeah.
It's like,
Asha, you can't just say Africa, because like, why the broad? That's like saying, what do you think about the cultural practices in America? That's like saying some people go crocodile hunting. Does everyone in America go crocodile hunting?
All right, sorry. I was just pointed out that I said cultural practices in Africa. I was reading from this paper, and obviously the paper is wrong as well. But the cultural practices, I'm from Liberia, so we're just going to talk about Liberia.
Sorry,
No, you brought up a great topic, actually. I was being a little bit ignorant there, too, as myself.
Yeah, very ignorant.
What do you think about, like, here's what the paper also says, theme parks in the U.S. that feature an African theme. Well, all parts of Africa are different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of countries in Africa.
Safari parks.
Yeah.
And that's mainly on the east side.
Yeah.
West Coast doesn't really have safaris. We have broad land, but there's not really, safaris like where you're gonna find a lion just laying with its cubs, or a tiger,
Yeah. And it also says the media perpetuates negative images of helpless primitives, happy-go-lucky buffoons, and pagans in Africa. People think like we're savages, but we really aren't.
Yeah, we all don't run around with little things wrapped around our waist, chasing.
Yeah, it's all different.
With a stick with a sharp knife at the end. And that's what everybody thinks. And when they say Africa, they're like, oh, okay, hunter. Like, not everybody in Africa kills for a living.
Says, from our parents' generation, there's an understandable, if a bit ugly, fuzziness about the dark continent. The dark continent, basically, they're saying is Africa. Because, like, from our parents' generation, they're saying that was, like, a dark continent. So, like, Africa wasn't really, like, there were no countries. It was just, like, a huge chunk of, like, colonial land. So I think that's what everybody's, like, they don't know much about Africa because of our parents' generation. Well, also, there's another topic in the book about, like, baptism. The pastor was trying to, like, baptize all the kids. And, he didn't really, like, I feel like baptism is, like, a choice you should make.
It's religion-wise. It's like,
yeah,
whatever religion you are, if your family's used to getting baptized at the age of 6 months, then you should get baptized when you're 6 months, because that's just how your family is. But if you're not, then, I mean, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, he thought he was like, have you ever, like, watched one of those movies, like, there's, like, a white minister, he goes to, like, an African country, and he tries to bring, like, force, like, Christianity upon them?
No.
Have you seen movies like that? Well, that's basically what he was trying to do, and he was, like, that's basically what he was trying to do, and, like, all the people thought he was basically, like, a devil, because they already had their little, like, they would like worship nature.
Yeah.
And he wanted to bring, like, Christianity upon them.
Okay.
And so the death of his daughter, he was like, he like, when it started raining, he decided to baptize all the kids. But the thing is, the Congo people, this book is actually, it's fictional, by the way, too. Fictional means it's fake, right? Yeah. Okay. So, on the death of his daughter, he decided to baptize all the kids. And the people in Congo, what they didn't like about baptism, because what their superstition was, like, you baptize someone in the river and a crocodile is going to come and eat them. So he wasn't really paying attention to their beliefs. So, like, I don't know, like, baptism, I think it's a choice, and he just wanted to do it. Like, the people in the Congo, they're like, okay, if you really want to have a baptism, you at least have to be, like, it's your choice. You shouldn't just go ahead and do it. What else is there to talk about? Do you think like when you like have kids, you'll like probably take them to the continent of Africa and
Most likely.
like let them know about like where their grandparents came from and
Yeah,
all that
I'll
stuff?
most likely take them like right after I go, which is hopefully pretty soon because I always wanted to, see what it's see the country myself, and my parents haven't been back since they left.
Yeah.
The only person that went back was
Me.
you. So it's been, kind of
Yeah.
mind-boggling that
Mhm.
I haven't been back along with my parents, and been in America for like 20 years since I was born. So going back would be nice, and I think I will take my kids because it'll be nice.
Yeah,
to
you want them to
see
like know.
another side of their roots,
Mhm.
or where their ancestors are from, or the majority half of their family is from.
Yeah. See, like before I was going to Liberia, I was probably like the rest of the world, and I'm like, where am I gonna sleep? What am I gonna be eating? I was
Right,
actually
how am I gonna
scared
take
to
a
go,
shower?
but I like went there, and they have everything. Before the war, they had like street lights and all that stuff. By being now, they're probably their way of driving is different, and they're the ones who get into no accidents. We have like all these like regulations, and then we're the ones who get into accidents.
Mhm.
They have like